Oh, such a
Hello,
treat.
gorgeous faces. People are still coming in, still coming in. Here we go. Okay. It's so nice to see everyone. I have got the amazing Matthew Lloyd Davis here with us tonight, and you guys have been chomping at the bit waiting for this call, as have I. We booked it years and years and years ago. And I have the advantage. These are my favorite calls because um, st have my back here, Matthew. We've never met, have we? Total
Never, no,
strangers,
never.
right? So
Absolute strangers.
those are the best calls because I get to find out all the good stuff live with all of you here. Um, Guys, regular rules apply. Quirky questions only, and quirky questions only. And I will send Matthew. There are a lot of people on this call already, so I'll send Matthew the chat after the call. So if you want to say anything to him, he will see it. But I've asked him to completely ignore you for the next hour. Of course, all questions will be funneled in. Matthew, you're
Daniela,
English.
I am English.
Where are you from?
Guildford. My mum insists I'm Welsh because my father was Welsh.
Ah.
And so when England play Wales, she, oh, look, Wales are playing. I said, yeah, Mum, I'm not interested. I'm English. What do you mean your father would be turning in his grave? I said, well, he might be turning in his grave, but I was born in Guildford and brought up in Surrey. You don't get much more English than my upbringing. I'm English. I'm about as English as it gets.
Was your mom
Uh,
English?
my mum is English, but she was born in Wales, so it just gets
What
really
part of
complicated.
Wales? What part of Wales?
Um, oh dear Lord, what's the island top left? Oh, up there, up and over there.
I only know Swansea
So,
and Cardiff.
oh good Lord, no, completely opposite. We're from our family's from proper Bernier Cottage down Wales. Don't
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
don't mess with the North Walians at all. Um, I'm told. I don't know. I'm from Guildford.
Did you ever go
And
there when you were a
anyone
kid, though? Family vacations and everything.
um I suspect I am told we did. I was far too young. I don't remember. I have been to Wales. I've been on tour to Wales. I've done jobs in Clwyd, Theatre Clwyd. That's another North Wales. I've been on tour to Cardiff. I've been on tour to Swansea. I've been on tour to Aberystwyth. I've done Wales, but I'm
Oh,
not.
very good
I'm not
accent.
Welsh.
Very good
Oh
accent.
no. Yes, I've been annihilated. I actually do practice that one because it's one I sort of, I say that I say I did do a book with a Welsh accent and it wasn't very good. And someone on Audible picked that up and said his Welsh accent's appalling. So I just went, but I am Welsh, so you can't say that. And so
You
they
can't
had
listen
that
to
review.
them. I had a reviewer tell me my American accent was ridiculous.
Oh, well, my best one. I've got. Well, I have had a review saying his English accent was the worst fake English accent I've ever heard. So I was like, that's got to be career ending, hasn't it? I
Yeah.
think where do I go? I can't do Welsh, and apparently my
Yeah.
English is just
What people
dreadful, just
hear.
fake.
10-year-old Matthew. Tell me about him.
10-year-old Matthew trying too hard, trying to be funny, not being, not quite getting bullied at school, but avoiding it by the skin of his teeth because I was a cheeky little shit. Um,
Class
that's
clown?
how that's class clown. That's how I
Yeah.
survived. That was my survival technique, was give it before you get it. And it worked because you kind of, I was teeny. I mean, I'm only 5'7.5" now. I say I'm 5'8", so that's how honest we're being in this interview. I'll give you my true height.
See, that's
um
like all the
I,
great actors. Your screen you is larger than life. I would never, and all great
ah
actors are shorter, aren't they? All the leading
I know.
men.
Well, if I do this to my chair, that's my true height. You've got my. I won't do the whole interview like that, but yeah. So no,
You still have
typical
the
proper
stage
proper.
presence.
Oh, bless you, thank you. So probably a bit small man syndrome. Trying too hard to be the big man. Most of my life,
I
probably.
think that's why all the leading men, that's what spurs them on. That's why they end up being the greats that they are, because they have to tap into their inner charm and masculinity and all that. And they've got this bigger than life persona.
It
Yeah.
certainly happens. It's definitely a thing, and I definitely tried to do it.
Well, you
Whether I was
succeeded.
Well, bless you. Thank you. I'm not quite sure I did, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay, so 10-year-old. So class clown, did you have dreams? Did you think about the future? Were you like living in the moment, just like a, happy kid or
There was no future. I was 10 and I was happy. Yeah, no future. Very young for my age. An immaturity that I think helped as I got older. Although I did mature, I did manage to make sensible decisions and do things right in the end. But very young, quite a loner. Weekends we live where I come from is a very privileged area. It's sort of southeast of England, just south of London. Well-to-do middle class family. Didn't really want for much, but
you
I
guys were
didn't.
posh?
Not quite. My mum thinks we're posh. My mum thinks we're posh, and I'm not. She's too old to argue with now, but she does. She's got a real bee. She's got an absolute bee in her bonnet about it. I don't know. Have you ever seen that series with Hyacinth Bouquet?
Yes, yes. It's a
Yeah.
bouquet.
Yeah, my mum's not quite that, but she's not far off sometimes. And yeah, again, I think our family tried a little bit too hard, and I didn't. I mean, we live in a very privileged village now in the southeast of England, just south of London, and I, I feel, I still feel a bit uncomfortable with it. I've had a privileged life. We're not rich, but I look around at things in the world today, just going into Brighton, just 8 miles down the road every day, which I quite, I do. That's where my gym is and where I go shopping and stuff. And you just see how other people have to live, and I feel guilty. We're so lucky. A lot of us, most of us, are lucky. I think we forget it too easily. Like life's pretty good to most of us, and we don't need a lot. We haven't got a big house, but I know where we live. Even that COVID was the big teacher. We just everybody was complaining. Life was awful, and I'd be sitting out in the village centre, 2 meters away from someone saying, well, if this is awful life, then we don't know we're born, because there were people with 5 kids living on the 6th floor of a set of flats with no garden who couldn't leave, and their kids didn't go to school for 2 years. My daughter's getting Zoom lessons every day. We've got a back garden and a cat and a dog, and we're doing all this, and it's just ordinary stuff.
Yeah.
But it is privileged, and we are lucky, and I don't want to sound disingenuous about it. I know I'm lucky, and I'm not going to just give it all away to someone else. I've worked hard to keep what that luck gave me, but I do feel privileged.
Yeah, I think the key is if you recognize that luck and you're grateful and you honor it and you use it in the best way possible, and then you also find ways to use your energy or your talent or your skills or your life force to help. Because it's that old Mr. Rogers saying, find a helper. If you use that to make yourself a helper in every way possible all the time, then because if nobody
Yeah, I
was
mean, I
ever
don't.
lucky,
Yeah,
nobody would ever have the resources to help. So if
yeah. I mean,
you're
I don't want to.
lucky,
I don't want to sell myself as some. I'm not this great thing. That I'm not. I'm not special. I'm just an ordinary bloke getting on with
yeah,
life. But I do know. I do know that I'm very privileged to have had the chances even that I've had.
yeah,
You know, and you've got to take those chances. You've got to make them work. But even to have them is a
yeah.
privilege.
It's a sense of gratitude. I love that. I think the people that feel that are the best people, because if it's the ones that don't, that so you're 10, you're living in the
Mm.
moment, you're getting by in life, you're creating
Yeah.
this kind of, persona to like, which is quite smart for a 10-year-old to get through. At what point did you start thinking acting or direction of life? Did you have a rocky, through school to college? What was that like, that journey?
I was I was considered clever, so I was put in the way the British education system used to run, then stopped, and then does a bit now, was this streaming system. So you went from what we call primary school, so up to I guess what you'd call year 6, so 10 years old. At 11, you go to secondary school. So that's junior high, I guess. At 11, is that junior high? Someone tell me.
Yeah, 11's junior high. Yeah, 11.
Yeah.
12,
And then you go
13.
into a stream, and I was put in the top stream. So the A, you're the clever ones. Go be clever. I felt utterly out of my depth.
Can
And
I ask
yet,
you a question about that? I'm totally curious.
yeah.
It's an honest question. From people I've heard when I used to work in pubs when I first moved over here, I was so proud of that. But I would talk to the punters and they would tell me about school, and especially in Ireland. And because we lived in Jersey for a while in the Channel Islands, and people would come from Ireland and Scotland, and they would say that when you were in school in the younger years over here or over there, Scotland and Ireland, that they would like kind of judge you and where you were going to go in the upper years, depending upon what family you were from. And that like if your family wasn't very well off, or your brother was there before you and hadn't done well, it was already assumed you weren't going to go no matter what you did. The cards were stacked against you. Do you think that's really a thing, or maybe just not a thing in England, or maybe a thing in the past but not anymore?
Oh, it was definitely a thing. It didn't happen to me, and it didn't happen much at my school, but you know that it happened. I could have conversations with many of my friends. A lot of it was, again, that's the privileged area I was in. It was very, very middle class. So it was the difference between, it wasn't the difference between having a Rolls Royce and having no food. It was the difference between having a small car and a big car. Everybody had a car. We really were. That's quite a privileged place to be. And so if you were of the lesser income end of the spectrum, it was kind of assumed you were probably not as clever. I know people from my village who were from the council estate, the projects, I guess you call them, were automatically put in the lower classes. But I think we were, again, that was where we lived. I knew a couple of them from my village, and I was a bit like, what? When we were at primary school, we were all in the same class together, and I was a bit like, why have you gone to that class and I've gone to that class? I was utterly out of my depth, and you're completely too clever for that. But over time, the sands shifted, and everybody kind of.
I'm wondering if it's small town, large town, because you say village, and the people I was talking to smaller places, and I can't see that happening in London because nobody would know where your parents.
No, I mean there's a whole genre of sitcoms from the 70s, late 60s, 70s about schools in London. I was petrified of schools in London. The thought of going to a school in London, it would be a bit like having a nightmare about going to prison. What would happen to you? I used to have nightmares about what it might be like to go to school in London.
I want to see the sitcoms. Do you remember the names of them? Will you send them to me?
Well, there's one called Please Sir.
I've never seen it.
I think it's probably based on the film To Sir with Love, which is oh god, that very, 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 very famous actor.
Sidney
Poitier. And it's a wonderful film. And if you watch Please Sir, you can see they've taken that format and made a sitcom.
I'm so gonna check it out
because it's John Alderton. I'm pretty sure it's John Alderton who was he was the man of sitcoms in the early 70s in the UK.
I'm so going to check. That's why I moved to London. I watched all the sitcoms, and I just used to imagine they were all in London, but like the Butterflies one, and As Time Goes By with Judi Dench, and all the British sitcoms. Nobody does a sitcom like the Brit. Only Fools and Horses has one scene. You guys, if you have not, Only Fools and Horses, look up the Batman scene. You've got to watch it. If you're
no, not the Batman scene, the scene, the bar scene, the bar.
Oh, where the bar scene's amazing. Okay, the bar scene and the Batman scene. But this is the one scene on TV. I think I literally wet my pants, and we had company. It was so funny. I'm still laughing. One Foot in the Grave. If you've never seen this, you have to see it. And it's the episode where him and his wife are arguing, and the ambulance drivers accidentally deliver this elderly 99-year-old woman to the wrong house, and help her upstairs into bed. And I won't give it away. I just did, didn't I?
Yeah, a bit. Just a tad, yeah.
I've never laughed so hard in my entire life. Tears were pouring down my eyes. I think it's the whole reason I live in this country is the actors because in America, it's kind of known that a sitcom isn't our best work, right? I mean, of course, we would kill
Now,
the
whoa,
DM
stop. No. Then you have to stop there. You have to stop there because as far as I'm concerned, it's all about American sitcoms. I think
Are you
British
serious?
sitcoms, yeah,
Like,
there's
name one.
Friends.
Oh, no.
I still watch
Against
Friends.
One
I
Foot
still
in the Grave?
every time. Every time.
Oh, I think
Friends, Fraser, Cheers. Oh dear Lord,
they're
Cheers
good.
is wonderful.
I watch them now that I'm over here because I get homesick and it makes me feel like I'm over there.
But even Married with Kids, which is probably a bit un-PC nowadays. Married with Kids, you're going back. God, even the Simpsons, which is basically a sitcom but a cartoon. I mean, yeah, the American sitcoms, they're cleverer, they're extraordinarily out there, but they're somehow more real. You watch a British sitcom, you know it's canned laughter. You can hear the pause they've put in for the laughter. It's like, no, get on with it, power through,
timing,
make it real.
Timing.
Nah,
You're
dreadful.
not going to sway
British,
me.
dreadful. Nah,
Oh,
you're not
going to sway me. There's no one does it better. We're going to have to agree to disagree because I would pit my Del Boy against your Phoebe on Friends any day. They're classic.
Yeah, but not Jennifer. Yeah, but he can't beat Jennifer Aniston. Okay, Steptoe and Son. I'll let you have Steptoe and Son. Okay.
I think we might be losing the audience. We thought you were going to dissect the like deep bits of how you become an actor.
I don't know.
Oh, Archie Bunker.
Watch sitcoms.
Archie Bunker was funny.
Alf Garnett.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm not meant to be looking at that. It came up. I didn't mean it to come up. I'll go away. You can't.
Oh, what's his face with the was he in Phantom? And he was the
Michael Crawford. Some others do have him.
Yes.
I did Phantom with him. I was in Phantom. I wasn't in it. I was on the stage crew, the very first stage crew of Phantom.
Wait, with Michael Crawford? You've met with Michael Crawford.
I have helped Michael Crawford out of that chair every night for about 6 months.
What was he like in real life? I know this is shows about you, but just really quickly, what was he like?
That's right. He was intense. You didn't get to know him. He'd come in the building and his blinkers are on, and he's absolutely focused. I mean, I saw him do it. I saw about 5 different people play the Phantom. No one did it like him. No one did it as realistically as him. He could make, there's me, grotty little stage crew. We were there building the set, we were there for weeks doing the technical rehearsals. We didn't sort of care. We were the crew, but I did love it and I wanted to be an actor, and I just watched him, and he was a masterclass in professionalism, just extraordinary, everything to the minutest degree. And, he annoyed the rest of the cast. He'd give notes. And the way he'd give notes would be annoying because he'd literally write little notes and get his dresser to take them to people's dressing rooms.
That would annoy me.
But he was he was a perfectionist, and he's playing a man who's supposedly this, maestro of the opera, and he's got to sing opera, and he ain't no opera singer. He just isn't. But I did not. You didn't. He was wonderful. He was just extraordinary, and I'll never forget that few months.
You know what you said about the way he is. It made me think, because who he reminds me of is, and I recently talked to Barbara Rosenblatt, and I told her at the time I'd never watched Orange is the New Black, and in preparation for the interview, I looked it up, and there was one scene where she was like making a getaway from the jail or whatever, and literally all she did in the scene was like close the door, make sure it was locked, drive away. I mean, she did hit someone in the end, but in that scene, just closing the door and locking it, there were more depths of acting and skill. And that's what I see in Michael Crawford. Even just in Some Mothers Do Have Them, it's a comedy, and every single movement was on purpose and showed you what he was thinking, what he was thinking about, what he was thinking, what he was feeling about, what he was thinking about, what he was thinking, and why he wasn't thinking. It was like, and I mean, I wonder if at that
It
level,
wouldn't be made. You couldn't make it. You couldn't make it nowadays. He did all his own stunts. He wrote half the script. He created that show. He created that character. And he. It's funny thinking back to that. There's a couple of, I don't know why The Simpsons have come up twice now. There's a couple of episodes of The Simpsons. There's one particularly where Homer is sitting on the car at the end looking at the sunset, and I just want to cry. It just makes me want to cry. And there are episodes of Some Mothers Do Have Them. No, not Do Have Them. Do Have Them, where he's singing to, is it Jessica, his daughter, and he's singing to Jessica, and you just see this man who loves his little girl, and you forget what a ridiculous human being he is, because just for that moment you go, everything he does wrong is for her.
He makes you love him. He makes you feel immense love. He makes you feel his actual emotions. Like you're sitting there watching this stupid sitcom. I'm sorry to say it. I mean, though, it's a sitcom, canned laughter and everything.
Oh, it's utterly ridiculous.
Magic. It's magic.
Yeah.
You think that that's talent that you have to be born with? That's not something working on your craft can achieve, is it? Because Barbara was what had it in that one scene.
I think you can work on it.
Yeah.
Some people can get there if they work on it. I'm not. I don't buy. Talent is born. Yes, look, we're all born as these things, and we grow up with different influences and behaviors and ways of thinking. And of course, you get to a certain age of your life where your brain, your personal algorithm works a particular way, and that will be more suited to expressing emotion and to taking that emotion or taking those words off a page and using them to make your own, of course. But if you've got the brain to work it out, I believe you can make yourself better. If I'm not particularly a good screen actor because I haven't done much screen acting. I'm an engineer. My mind is an engineer. I trained as an engineer originally before I became an actor. Don't know why, but because I have that kind of mind. And so I love comedy, and comedy is engineering, and comedy is absolutely getting the nuts and the bolts and building it like this. Press that switch, it's funny. If I put that bolt in the wrong place and that nut over there, it's not funny anymore. Now, some people can just do it like that. Brilliant, good for them. But you can work it out.
I have a question for you. Oh my God, I've got like 20 questions built up before this question, but now I got to ask, but the feeling behind it. So doesn't that trump all? Like the underlying emotion, doesn't that trump all? Even if you get all the bits.
I don't think, no, I would question trumps. I would say necessary. If the underlying emotion is negative, then the nuts and bolts don't matter. But you could make an awful lot of people still think it's funny. That, remember, it isn't just the person telling the joke, it's the person listening to the joke. So comedy, a solitary human being in a room can't be funny, because there's no one to laugh.
Like we create art. So I told you I read too many Gothic novels as a child. We create art as a way to connect to other souls. And under it all, if you go into the booth with a bad energy or sick or worried, you can do all the right things and rise above it. This is just my feeling. I might be wrong. I hope I'm kind of wrong in a way. But people listening, we're searching for that energy, and we'll sense it. I think most people will sense the anger, the unhappiness, the sickness. Do you not think? I mean, I'm hoping I'm right. I'm wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say, if it's someone if it's someone whose energy you're used to, who then become a conduit for a completely different kind of energy, then it's almost like, well, they've literally missed their target, because you're sitting there and they're aiming over there.
Yeah.
I would question. I hope I can get in the booth and I can be as convincing when I'm having a shit day as when
And
I'm
that's
not.
where I say I hope I'm wrong, because I've got this feeling growing the more books I do that what really matters is who I am. And like, I'd better damn well not fix it, but make sure that who I am doesn't give in to the, the deadly obstacles that hit us in older age when you're like, oh my God, am I worried? I've got bills. I better hope I fight all that, because who you are, if you don't go into the booth with that hope and that energy, that
I
up
would say, yeah,
energy.
there's two answers to that, and that's yes, you're right, and actually you're wrong, because yeah, I have to go in the booth and
Right.
be Lloyd Davis, because if I
Right.
go in the booth and be anyone else, it will be shit.
Yeah.
But I have to be Lloyd Davis giving that author. I have to channel that author in the way that Lloyd Davis does. If I take Lloyd Davis, who's had an argument with his daughter in the morning about whatever,
Yeah.
and I go in angry, and therefore I'm taking that and I'm going, oh, well, I don't, and then I'm not. That isn't that. They're not, the nuts and bolts are not there, certainly, and whatever is going underneath is not there. Now, if I go in and I can somehow construct the nuts and bolts, they can take me to where I need to be, because I do believe you can do it with nuts and bolts. It might not be as good, but I think, again, that's a judgment call, because how do you know whether I was in a bad mood or I wasn't if I managed to put all the nuts and bolts together? What I would say is it's fucking exhausting if you go in there and all you're doing is a technical exercise. You will last 1 hour, you will walk out of that booth and never get in there again. It's got to be organic. It's got to be, I always talk with my coaching students and my course, I always talk about the heart and the head. It's always got, it's got to come either from here through the head, or if for each person differently, from your head via the heart. But if this thing in here is not involved, fuck off and don't be part of this.
So
And
what is the part
if
of
we're going to
you?
talk AI, then
Well, what is the job? What is the job of becoming the person that can set that anger aside and channel the other person? What, I mean, is it physical health? I mean, obviously it's mental health, but whatever. But what is that? I find that's not what I thought was going to be the hardest part about this job, but it is the hardest part about this job. Oh my God, all the worst things in your personality, do you not find come out? Like I see like jealousy, scarcity, worry, anger, all those things, you have to hit them head on, don't you? Because you're alone in that booth.
but
You
I
gotta,
but you got it. Yes, but I'm not in this world.
yeah,
When I sit here at this desk where I do my accounts and where I look at the next audition that I didn't get, that's what I do here. This is where I get pissed off with life.
and
This
you
is
leave
where
it
I sit
aside.
and worry that I'm not good enough, or what am I going to do if I don't book that job? What am I going to do if I don't get that? Oh shit, APAC's coming up. What am I going to wear at APAC? I'm not even joking. We're having good
No,
discussions
you
about
have no idea how
it.
many people I
Yeah, no,
think.
I have. Yeah. But then you get in there. It's not even in there, although that helps. It's you get this thing, this world, and it could be beautifully written. I don't care. It can be appallingly written. I don't care. That's the world. That's what I've got to do, and that is now my life for the next 3.5, 4 hours. Is
Yeah.
in there, and there isn't anything else. There can't be anything else. I can't be thinking about my shopping when I'm reading about, Inspector Tremaine, a Cornish man, having an argument with a posh young lady about a murder that's just gone on, and I can't. I can't. Look. I, I don't. There's all this. What I love about actors is everybody's so bloody different,
Yeah.
and everybody always wants to know what is it to be an actor. Well, I can only tell you what it is that I do. I can't. Again, I think coaching is important, but I've learned more by listening to other people and then siphoning it into me and making it a
Internalizing it.
part of what I am, because I
And we
can't
don't
do
even
it.
know what we
Again,
are, do we? Like, I'm doing a nonfiction, and I will tell you pretty much every day of the week, I'm not a big fan, whatever, blah, 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 nonfiction. And I get this nonfiction, and it really is about a subject that, like, no, I'm not interested in this. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. And I'm talking back to the writer. I'm like, you're right. I've known that all the time. That's, it's all about the Gen Z, Gen X, millennials. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. And it's like, really? I thought you didn't like nonfiction, Daniela. Until 3 hours ago, you would have sworn to me that you didn't like this book.
Stop thinking of it as non-fiction. It's just a story that someone's
Yeah.
telling about something about which they're knowledgeable and passionate.
And it's
I've
brilliant.
just done this really long book about the ancient Assyrian Empire with no prep time. The publisher said, there is no prep time. We don't have a word list. We need it by next week. Yes, there's going to be a lot of pickups. Just read it. And it was tough. And I was listening back to a piece for a thing I want to do, and I was like, oh God, this is fascinating. And he loves it so much. So I loved his love of it. It's like when people say, I can't read this, but I've done a few series. I've done my share of romance. Bugger all romance going on. It's like they get down to it.
So you're that guy on the cover with the no shirts.
I am, as you can see. But you just have to get in there, get dirty, guys, and just enjoy what the job is, which is I've got to take these words and create this world. Now, this world could include all sorts of bodily fluids, or it could be a deep dark thriller, or it could be a very light poetry book. It doesn't matter. Get in that world, and you're not really in there for very long, and it's and you come out and go, wow, that's you come out exhausted, and I think that's why people burn out. There's a lot of conversations about burnout, and I certainly suffer from it, because you've got to pay the mortgage and you've got to do your hours, and it can feel like it's a bit relentless. So you've got to know when to stop. But if you just remember, it's sort of like, the harder you work at doing it the right way, the less actual effort it is. The great tennis players, boff, it's gone. Me, I'm fucking dislocating my shoulder to hit it across the net, and it's barely reaching the net.
Yeah,
because I'm
hard
shit
is
at
my
tennis.
favorite.
Yeah.
Let's change the subject, because I've got to skip back now, because I want to know how Class Clown became an engineer. First, let's start with engineer. Like, what was this out of school? What am I going to do for a living? What was the thinking going on there?
There you go. That's my brain. My brain is kind of I'm very right side. I'm all about, that's right, isn't it? It's right side is the technical
I always get really confused.
I'm a little bit, left side is art, and right side, whatever.
No, I think it's,
I like things that fit. I liked Meccano. I don't know if you had Meccano in it, Meccano or Lego Tech, or all of that, things that fit.
Where do you stand on Excel spreadsheets?
I avoid them like the fucking plague, because they
really, that surprises me, because they're the ultimate in things fitting.
Yes, but then you get on the cloud and things unfit without you knowing why.
Oh no, I avoid the cloud.
Be doing
Everything's
that
on hard drive.
No,
old school.
Oh, I want everything to work. I can't. Computers do my nutting, because if it doesn't quite work, that's not good enough for me. So I have to play with it till it works, and I promise you, I will lose everything before I've got it to work. I'm just done something. What is it? Oh, because I didn't have enough cloud memory, so I've taken my iPhoto off the cloud. I'm shitting myself that I've lost all my photos. I haven't, but it's taken me ages to get them on another hard drive.
I don't like the cloud. I'm like, where have you got my stuff? But where actually is it? Show it to me. And so I've got it
on the West Coast. It's in Silicon Valley somewhere.
I thought I was smart. I put it all on a big hard drive, and then I knocked the hard drive on the ground, shattered it, and now I've got it all on 3 hard drives.
Yeah. That's what I do. I've got piles of hard drives.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay.
so I liked maths. I was good at maths. That's the
Right.
one thing. It just made sense. The straight lines. If you add 2 and 2, it equals 4 every single time. And I loved all of that. And I was quite good at chemistry and physics, all of those things. And I'd got into drama and stuff at school, and that made this funny little boy that couldn't get a girlfriend because I looked 12 when everyone else was looking 16, and a bit of an outsider, but clowny clown. But I was quite good at that. And then off I went to, is it senior high? What would A levels, sixth form college, we call it. So you do A levels. So just before you go to university. And I wanted to do maths, physics, and English, but they said, no, you can't do 2 sciences and an art. It doesn't fit. So, all right, well, what else shall I do? Oh, and my mum said, oh, my mate's a geology teacher, and he said he hasn't got enough people for his course. I went, oh, all right, I'll do geology. So I did maths, physics, and geology for no other reason than I had to fill a space in my timetable, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it because it was all the sort of mathsy, physicsy, chemistry stuff, and geography, which had a similar thing, all kind of pushed together. And I loved that. And I was just kind of like, I loved acting, but I was still this little boy. There's photos of me. I look about 13 when I was, when I was 18. I used to get stopped by the police driving my car.
Well, that bodes well.
All
Looking
the
too
time.
young is not something we complain about later on.
Yeah, well. So then there was this thing up on the wall that said Camborne School of Mines. I thought, that's interesting. And I like doing things no one else does just because I'm an idiot like that. And I just read about it. Oh, this is geology and geography and physics and maths. Ooh. And my parents had been very much like, do what the hell you like after you've gone to university, but go to university. So I went, well, I'm quite into this. So there I went. And I went to the Camborne School of Mines in Cornwall and trained to be a mining engineer.
Wow.
And left there and went to drama school. So
I'll tell you something funny. I didn't hear mines talk about perception. I heard mime, and I was really excited for you. And suddenly, that's
no,
I spent
different. Yeah, 2 years down a mine going like that. But
they
that's
don't
as
really
close
put
as we
birds
got to
down
miming.
there, do they?
No,
Thank
not now.
you.
They used to. Well, they used
They
to.
really used to.
Well, yeah, because if a bird died, you knew to get out. That was their that was their warning. That was early warning system. Canary in a coal mine. You had your canaries. If the canaries died, it was because the gas was coming and pushing all the oxygen away. So and the canaries would be on the floor. So
and then the canary's dead. So what?
Well, then you get the fuck out of there, don't you? Well, better the canary than you.
Yeah, I don't know about that. All lives are equal, by the way. They have little souls, and Okay, so you go to mining school.
Mine. Yeah.
Were you like a coal miner with like the hat and everything, or were you like the guy
Dear
in the
Lord,
office?
no, much more serious mining than that. I was a hard rock miner. That's coal mining. No, hard rock mining is like gold, copper, diamonds, serious stuff.
Wow.
Blasting it out, and big drills, machinery. I mean, I was carrying machinery around that was heavier than me. It was an absolute disaster of a decision. There's a photo of me somewhere on Facebook. After this, I'll put it back up. There's a photo of me. We just spent a week and a half or 2 weeks down a mine, just as work experience, literally at the face, drilling holes, packing dynamite, blowing it up, clearing out bloody great pieces of granite. And I look about 12, and I'm surrounded by these big, hairy Cornish rugby playing miners. I actually, they were lovely. I had a great time with them, but I just hated it for 2 years. It was hideous. I'm not a miner. No.
So then what? Did you have like an epiphany and think, right, acting was better?
Well, I'd always loved it. And the mining school happened to be on the same campus as another high school, and they had a drama department. So I did things, out of hours. So I joined their drama department for fun and carried on acting. I got on very well with their head of drama, and he helped me with auditions for drama school. So I did auditions for drama school, which I can remember it now. Oh God, I did the Queen Mab speech, which is Mercutio's speech to Romeo in Romeo and Juliet, and the lecturer had this idea that I should mime pretty much all the way through it. So, oh, I see. Then the Queen Mab hath been. And he had the Queen Mab, and he had me doing all this stuff. Like, my body is my tool. It was just. I mean, I think even whilst he was teaching me it and coaching me through, I thought this is awful, but I didn't know enough to know it was awful. So I completely failed in my attempt to get to drama school, and then. So finished mining, went home, and got involved in.
Before you finish mining, because I'm also keeping an eye on the questions. Barbara, I've got yours. We're going to put it at the end because it's always a good closer. Kim wants to know, and this is a good time to put this in, and later on it'll be too late. Q open pit ? And then, did you get to ride on the huge machines when you were mining?
The open pit is certainly where some of them went. Most of the guys that went to when I was there, you were South Africa bound, and it was one of the reasons I couldn't continue. I did the first 2 stages of the course, then you'd go and work. Mostly they'd go and work in South Africa, and when all the job applications came in, it was all for, Rio Tinto Zinc and RTZ and Genco, the big mining companies. And I'd have got a job, and I'd have been put in charge of 10, 12 black guys who'd been down the mines all their life, and I'd have been 23 years old, put in charge of them for one reason and one reason alone: they're black and I'm white, and I wouldn't do that. So I wouldn't interview for the jobs because I said I'm not going to work in South Africa. To which the question was, what the fuck are you doing at a mining school where 99% of the students end up in South Africa?
And the answer was, I thought you said mime.
I thought you said mime. Yeah. So
did you get a ride on the huge machines?
We didn't, because they weren't ours. And we didn't work on the biggest big ones. That's the official term, by the way, the biggest big ones. We worked on the sort of just the big ones. I mean, I did have a blast on some of them. They were great. And we got to throw them around. We did properly got trained down there to do it. But it's a scary place of mine, I tell you. I didn't actually mind it in the mine. I was just so small. Everything was just such hard work for me. I couldn't keep up. These guys,
probably character. It's probably character forming, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, all it did was I was the cheeky little shit down the mine. I mean, I had a really good time because I got on well with the guys, because I got ribbed. I mean, they would rip the shit out of me, which in British terms means
you're the comic relief.
Constant. Oh God, yeah. But because I could give as good as I got, I had a good time. People were nice to me and would help me, because it was a struggle for me. They were literally, like, half of them were 6'6" tall, playing rugby at the weekends, and I promise you, I was the size of a 12-year-old. I was tiny. I barely come to puberty at the age of 17. I was a very late developer.
I still think that's good.
To share that tonight.
I think it's good. I think it's good. It's my only life experience was doing kung fu as a person that's never been physically fit in her entire life, or coordinated, or ever chosen for any team ever. And these people were hardcore, late into the night, with a master that hit them with a bamboo stick. And after class, they ate food from animals and things that, like, I still don't understand. And I didn't fit in, but they kind of like
fits
you.
In there.
Well, they admire you because you're giving it a go. I think they probably admired you because you had the guts to be there.
And it has had a long-term effect on me. I mean, I'm pretty obsessive about my fitness now, and I go bonkers in the gym, and I work extremely hard. And I didn't until I went there, and it was only to try and be able to keep up. I remember I started running when I was there, and I joined all the sports clubs. I couldn't compete, and I was in the sports clubs, and I got a lot of kudos for trying very hard, but I never got very far. They'd stick me on for the last 10 minutes of a game, and I started running, going to the gym, working out, and I continue to do that to this day. And I think that's helped me in there a lot as well.
It's yeah, I think that's amazing, and that makes you a different. That's life changing. Because that
It was, yeah.
also informs your character. That kind of discipline. I'm a big fan of discipline. There's a book called Flinch. I think it's called The Flinch by Simon somebody or other. It's very short. It's like 3 hours, and I'm such a fan of the theory that, I mean, he does like you to take ice cold showers, but the point is, if you get to the moment of flinch, that it makes you stronger, it makes you more resilient. That I need to reread that book, because it was life changing to me. That like you put yourself in situations where you're at the moment where you want to flinch away from it, and that's the moment that you're facing yourself head on, that you're kind of growing. You know how they say leaps in your career are always the hardest. Like when you're growing and changing, you always want to quit because it sucks. And those are the
Yeah, the
moments.
day, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the day you don't want to run that gets you fit. It's the day you don't want to go
Yes.
to the gym that gets you fit. And I tell
Yes.
myself that an awful lot. I get up. A lot of my discipline is to try and get my recording done before sort of. I try and finish by 2 in the afternoon, so I've got the afternoon to read, and I've
Yeah.
got daylight and daytime when I'm doing my prep, and it's nice and lovely outside. But sometimes I've got a particularly long book or a massive project. I'll get up at 5. I'll get up at 4. I hate it. I can't. I couldn't. There are no words to express how much I hate it.
What time do you
And I
normally get
just get
up?
up. 6:30, 7. But even that, I struggle with that. That's I struggle. I have to do it, and it was something my wife said to me the other day. I got up at 5. I go downstairs. I have my coffee. I don't know how people record without coffee. Get a grip, guys. It's the way
Yeah.
ahead.
Or
Got to
six
have your coffee.
espressos.
Exactly. I mean, I used to have 2 coffees and 10 fags before I could even begin to record.
Oh,
But
wow.
that's another one. So I got up really early and I was doing something, and my wife said to me that afternoon, she was doing some work. I said, "Oh, you're working hard on that." She goes, "Yeah, I feel a bit inspired by you." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "That took some discipline this morning, didn't it?" I went, "Yes, it did." And the next morning I did it again because I woke up early and I thought, "Oh, my wife's proud of me because I did that. Oh, I feel kind." And it inspired me to get it, and so I got a book finished really quickly. So it was quite nice.
Yeah,
But I love it. I love recording when no one's up and
and
everyone's.
do you not feel, I know, see, the thing is, you don't encourage someone to do crazy hours or crazy minutes, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get a book done, and sometimes things happen. And and I, the other day, didn't finish until 4:30 in the morning, I think it was. But her time, it was still the day of the deadline. So I
Ah,
made the
well, that's good.
deadline on her side, and it was a point of pride that I am never going to miss a deadline. And I was
Yeah,
so it was, I shouldn't have been proud. I should have been ashamed of myself that I let myself get in that position knowing
yeah.
better. I knew I should have given myself time ahead of time, but life happened. But I was so proud of myself that I
So you
met
proud?
the
But here's a
deadline.
question then. Here's a question. Because I did. I've never missed a deadline except for one time, and we were due to move house. So everything's in place. We have a thing in the UK where you exchange contracts.
Yeah,
Once you've exchanged contracts, that's it.
yeah,
You can't back out without losing a vast amount of money. So it's happening. So we've exchanged contracts. We're sitting there. Our flat is full of boxes. I've had to do that thing where you segue from one recording space to another because I didn't have my studio bricks then. I was going to have take my booth from upstairs. I couldn't move it. It was built in. So I'd been recording for 2.5 months in a studio in Brighton with the view to carrying on there after we moved. But that was the hassle of going into town, unlocking early in the morning, getting in, setting up my own setup because it wasn't the same as the studios.
yeah, yeah.
Um, all of that. Anyway, so I got an email from a certain publisher saying, "Oh, yeah, just cheeky buggers, just writing to see how you're doing. Wondered where you're at with such and such a book." I went, "Yep, all good. Prep is done. That'll be with you by whatever the date is." And they went, "Oh, okay, good. Yes, that was actually due last month." Uh, I can. Even now, I've read this email. It was Monday night. We're moving house on Friday. We're
where did it
moving
go
house on
wrong? Was there a
Friday.
missed email or something? Where did it go
No,
wrong?
it's that whole bloody Americans doing the month in the wrong bit. You do day, month, year. Small, get a little bit bigger, then the biggest. It goes in
I
order.
actually
Not
say the month. I say May or June now to
I do
everyone
now.
because I don't mess around because I
I
just
had the
don't
wrong
mess
month.
around.
No, I had the wrong month. So I'm like, okay, it's I think it was like an 8-hour book. This is Monday night. I can't record on the Friday. We're moving house. End of. Even Thursday night, I'm a bit screwed because we're, taking beds
And it's
apart and God knows what.
hard.
And with
It
thousands
is
of pounds,
not easy to move house.
yeah. So I've got this book to record. It's something like 9 o'clock at night. I just said to my wife, well, I'm going to go to the studio quite early tomorrow. She said, oh, yeah. I said, yeah, look. And so I showed her the email. She went, and she doesn't record. So she's not really in the loop. She's like, fucking hell, you're in the shit, aren't you? I went, yes. And I went in and I think I got up at something like 4 a.m. I made myself this big coffee and I got to the studio and I set up, and it's now, I'm wasting hours because I had to get there set up. So I got up at 4. I didn't start recording till 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I just sat there, and I've never seen a 9-hour book look quite so huge. It was just this thing. And I was like, how the fuck do I do this? I do it one line at a time.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's
talking of which, the whole bloody thing was in a Scottish accent. I had to do the whole thing in a Scottish accent.
but the stress of it is the key. The stress is the key. This was I had to do it. Okay, it was a 5-hour book. I did 4 hours of it that day, right? And I can easily do that in a studio with an engineer. And it's always driven me crazy. Why the hell can't I do that in my own studio? Well, you're recording, you're doing it.
Because you're working twice as hard. Yeah.
The biggest reason is because I'm panicked, and that takes time. And I don't know how it takes time, but me being aware, oh my God, I've got to do so much today, takes a hell of a lot of that time. So this book, this is why I think it was like a monumental leap in my recording process, that I forced myself, because it was physically impossible in the amount of time I had to get this book in by deadline. Physically impossible. I know that I can record 2 hours for every finished hour. Physically impossible to do it, and with everything going on that day. But I forced myself, one line at a bloody time, and you are not allowed to complain to your friends, to talk about how hard the day is going to be, to get on Messenger, to tell your husband. Can you not hear me?
I've lost you.
Can you hear me? Can everyone else hear me?
Okay. Oh, I can. I've got it now. Yeah. Got it back.
All those things. Tell your husband, oh my God, I'm not making it. Could you please keep the bird quiet? Getting on messengers with your 7 friends that'll commiserate. Oh my God, I've got this book. I'm not going to make it. How am I in this position again? Muttering to yourself, and, while you're recording about how hard your life is, thinking about all the things you're going to do for your throat. None. I just did the damn book. So how did your deadline go? Did you get it done?
Yeah, I got it done early.
Really? What was your trick?
I did exactly that. My trick was, so I had to do the whole, I'd forgotten that I had to do the whole thing in a Scottish accent because I'd done 2 auditions and it was written as a narrator with Scottish characters, but it was completely set, and it was first person. And I was like, well, I can't, I'll give him both. And he loved the Scottish. He said there was something thoughtful. He had to think harder when he did the Scottish. I want that.
Oh no.
So
great.
But it did 2 things. It made me slow down. Oh shit, now I'm going to do a really bad Scottish accent. It made me slow down.
Do the bad Spanish accent. I'm married to a Glaswegian, so...
Okay, well, a Glaswegian. No, it wasn't Glaswegian. It was more Edinburgh. So I did it like that. And I just let the voice be a bit lower and more relaxed. So I didn't use so much as a time. It lasted longer.
And it forced you to be present.
I got 5 hours finished that day.
Yeah, because the accent...
In one day. And I don't...
Yeah.
Yeah. and all I did was just okay, there is nothing, there is nothing in my life today but that. There was no one else coming in the studio, and I stayed there until I think I knew I only had to do an hour and a half the next day and an hour and a half the next day. So yeah, that would be about right. 5, 6, 7. So it's an 8-hour book. That's about right. Yeah. I have never ever done 5 hours in a day since, and I wouldn't. I would never choose to. I did do 4 hours a couple of weeks ago on my own in there. That was the bloody Assyria. That's why. But I would never choose to do that because it's the law of diminishing returns. You even if you think you can and your voice is coping with it, and I think I coped okay. I just kept it mellow, but by the last hour, I'm all over the Jesus. For every one sentence I recorded, I probably
it's not something to be proud of doing, but
no.
it's something to be proud that you're capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean,
once or twice a lifetime.
Yeah, and if that's what the publisher wants, and I only did it because they said, yeah, no prep, don't prep it. In fact, I started prepping, and I said, well, I found about it's. They said, no, don't prep it. They actually said, don't bother, because whatever you prep, the intellectuals will come in and say it's something else. Just do it. And we did a lot of guest prep between us, and it was. Actually, we did okay. We did okay, but I wouldn't choose to do that. That way madness lies. All I did at the end was say, "That's how much money I've earned today." It's like, ooh, that many finished hours. I wish I could do that every day. Don't we all? Bloody hell, that'd be great.
No, I said I'm going to try to make all my days really, really, really short. I'm going to plan really, really far ahead from now on to never get in this position ever again in my life.
And I plan far ahead, and that planning far ahead is a good one. I plan as far ahead as possible. I always try. I was having this conversation with someone today, actually. I try. It's getting harder because publishers are a bit cagey with scripts. I try to have read the book a good 2 weeks before I'm going to sit in front of a mic with it, and if not 6 weeks, if I can. I haven't got a book to read now until after. Where's April? May. The next book I've got to read will be recorded in May, and I haven't got the script, so I've got no prep to do. But I do because I'm thinking about
right after that.
But I've got APAC. Oh God, I don't know. I've got another one of my courses is running almost straight after APAC, and I'm trying to do another one in September. And I just try to keep busy, but I like that the I've got a big one coming up next week, and it's quite Dickensian in its style, on purpose. You can tell he talks about a lot of Dickensian characters. There's a lot of characters, but I love it because they're so beautifully described. But I finished. That was quite a late read. I've had that sitting in my head for about 10 days, and I'm really glad I have, because when you first read a book like that, there's something like 150 separate little characters that really need to be right, or like I did a Viking series where they were all this. I've got this in my course. I've talked to people about this before. There's literally, I've got a list of about 150 names, all from the same tribe. They're all pretty much the same age, with the same background and the same accent, and they've all got voices like
at the same
rock.
Time.
And then it'll say, his voice was like a rock rolling down a hill. Well, they've all got voices anyway. So, but if you can sit with that book in your head for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, it's like shaking up water and flour.
Yeah,
you can't see a thing, but it starts settling, and you start going, oh no, I know what to do with him, and I know what to do with him, and it's it's that whole characterization thing. I'm doing a series at the moment, and it's an odd. I'm sort of falling in love with the characters, but
you get to know them like they're your friends, huh?
Yeah, but not in the first book. Barely any character. It's all exposition. There's nothing to suggest who and what their relationship. And then in the second book, you're going, hang on, that doesn't really fit with what happened in the first book. And by the fifth book, it's all starting to make sense. I'd love to go back and record the first and start again. But of course, we don't have that luxury, And
okay, I've got to stop you because First of all, oh my
I'm
God, I didn't get to
dull.
ask any of the questions because this was such a good conversation.
I
So
told you I can
I'm gonna
talk.
have to start stalking you and ask you to come back to finish the conversation, because I think I need another call. Sorry, I need more time. But I have three questions, um, two from your fans in the audience, and one final one from me. So the first question, Barbara wants to know the scariest thing that's ever happened to you.
I've got a few. It depends on the level. I have dodgy shoulders, and they I can dislocate them very easily. I've had operations done on them, and that's part of the fitness thing as well. Is I used to do press
Yeah.
ups like I was a lunatic to strengthen them, and I know that it happens. I can now probably put it back in. It's not a pleasant experience putting it back in, but I
Oh my
can do it
God.
with. Oh yeah, I can do it. It's that's worse. That's the fear. And I was on. It was my first. It was my equity job. It was the job that got me my equity card. I was on tour, and we did the whole tour, and it was a bit miserable little places around the UK, but it ended up in Singapore. And we went off on this sort of tropical trip afterwards, a few of us, because we'd never been abroad. I'd never been abroad. I was 21. I'd never been abroad and anything. And we were in this amazing, on this incredible beach. It was sand for miles. There was nothing else for miles. And we were body surfing, and this massive wave just threw me down, and my arm came wrenching out of its socket. I heard it come out, and I
Oh
came
boy.
out, and I knew, and all I'm thinking, and I'm starting to hyperventilate, and I'm thinking, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I remember the last time I had done it, and what happens is if you're not careful, everything tenses up, and you won't getting it back in,
Oh
and you're just in
God.
shit for
Oh
hours.
God.
And that moment, I've never. That's always stuck with me. I'm not entirely sure how I got it back in. I think that's the day I learnt what you can do to get it back in,
Because
because
you
I
had no
kind of
choice. You were the woman
I
lifting the
panicked. No,
car off her infant.
no, not even that. I just panicked and did something stupid, and it put it back in.
Oh
And
God.
I kind of sat down and cried. I do usually cry after I've dislocated it. I did it with my daughter once. I can do it so easily. You know, when you get a duvet and you flap it like that,
Oh God.
I
No, see, because I
whiplash.
had a fractured shoulder, so I am literally living this for you. I can like feel it. Okay.
I can remember. Yeah, that's up there. That's up
Uh,
there with the
Oh,
I don't
horrible,
know.
horrible. Okay. I'm going to ask my question first because I want you to have time to answer the last question. And I don't want to miss this one out. So if you left the audience that's going to be watching this in 60, 70 years with anything that you want them to take away from this call, words of advice, a funny joke, what would you want to leave them with? What would you want them to remember this call by?
Oh gosh. Um. God, it's really hard not to answer that egotistically. Well, I can only answer
Don't
it
see
egotistically, I
that. See, now
suppose.
that is a very UK thing. Be egotistical. Live it up.
I think something as simple as, if you care enough about what you're doing,
Yeah.
then you're going to do okay. Um, there's a lot of, we're going to have a chat about this at Johnny Heller's Splendiferous. There's a lot of imposter syndrome goes around in the acting world anyway. Um, if you think I don't get it, you're so wrong. I get it every day. But what I say to myself is, I give a shit, and I'm I have imposter syndrome. I'm thinking I'm not good enough. Well, I better make sure that I am then, and I try and use that to keep me where I
Drive
need to
you.
be. Yeah, I don't like it being the driver. I like it being a traffic warden, just going, "Oi, get over there. Stop being MacLeod Davis. What does the author want? Not what you want." And go, "Oh yeah, if I do it, oh yeah, no, yes, I've got to be better. I've got to be better." And I just think, if you care enough, you're going to be all right.
I like
Really.
that. Okay. Now this is the last thing. it's been going around. I know ton of people that have like joined and been talking about it. I don't know, it might be too late for people to join, but tell us about your 21-day challenge thing.
21 targets. So it's a 21-day, it's a challenge. And the idea is you get, I sort of, one of my lines is get audiobook fit. And I've had people literally, and I rather like this, Finley has gone, did it having never recorded an audiobook. And she's nominated for an Audie this year.
Oh,
In
wow.
1 year, in 1 year. She
Wow.
started with 21 targets. I'm quite now that's egotistical. That was all me, guys.
Is it too late?
It's
Is it too late for people to sign up for it?
May is sold out. I've just literally, it's on Andy Arndt's Narrator.life platform.
Okay.
I've just literally, I'm waiting for an email. Let's see, hasn't happened yet, saying that it's open for booking for September. I won't, I limit it to 10 people. So every single day you get a project, you prep it, you record it, and you upload it to the platform where everyone else would have done the same. They listen to yours and comment, you listen to theirs, but it has to be positive comments. I
Oh,
think
that's
anything
brave.
negative, if at all, will be me. But it's not about being negative. It's about saying, well, yeah, but what if, and try that, and can you do this? So you do that every day for 21 days. I've added to it because people kept saying, I want more feedback. I want more feedback. I'm like, bloody yeah, all right. So now we start with a group session, a bit like this, where we'll talk about the course. I'm actually going to give people stuff to read in that first Zoom. And then we're going to do a Zoom every Tuesday. I can't remember what I've said now. Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, I think. It's Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. There'll be a Zoom to talk about the projects they've had thus far, ask about the business. You get such a mix of people on it. I had a guy, I'm not going to name names, but I had a guy who engineering wise, he knew more than any one I've ever met. He was giving so much brilliant advice. I've got two people on the next course who between them are bringing a huge amount of experience and knowledge, which I'm hoping I will get them to also share. And it's this wonderful thing of, comparison is the death of art, isn't it? You don't compare yourself to others, and yet listening to others is a wonderful way to understand where you fit, where your voice, how you and the essential you and the quintessential thing that makes me and Daniela and Alan, that is good and right and proper and must be so, because I cannot be Simon Vance, however much I would like his career. I cannot be that. I can only be me. And that's what I hope people finish the course with, that confidence of, right, I'm here. I know what I'm doing. I know other people do that, but I quite like doing that. But I've got all these tools and I heard that person do it that way, or that could be handy over there. And you're sitting in front of the mic one day going, I'm a bit stuck.
Hmm.
Oh, hang on. Because we all do. I mean, I did something in there the other day. I did channel a bit of the Vance and thinking, well, okay, what would he do? I do use him for auditions a lot because I know that I audition for books that he gets. And I did do Johnny Heller's Splendiferous Workshop, where I went up and got coached by Scott Brick. And Simon Vance is sitting behind me. He's quite a good mate because he actually comes from Brighton, just down the road.
Oh.
Um, and Scott Brick said, "What do you want from this session?" I said, "I want the jobs that Simon gets." And actually, but this became a bit of a thing because one of my business card back then was, it literally said Matthew Lloyd Davies, because Simon Vance can't do all the British audiobooks. And that was my business card. And afterwards, and he was very sweet. He said, "Matt, it's very funny. It's brilliant, and it's not done me any harm as well. But you just got to be you."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is another thing I hope people would take away from this. You got to go away and find the way of being the best you that there is. And we all have to work, and we all have things to fight out there. They're coming to get us, but I don't think they're going to get us. But we have to prove that we're better than those things. So we have to be the best version of what we can be.
And also like listen to
And
what we think we like, because there was a little while somebody made a comment. I thought, really? Do I have to try to sound like that? Like, I'm not gonna, because yeah, a lot of people sound like it, but there's like some trendy ways of sounding that like I don't sound like. And I was like, well, should I modify it? But then I thought, I don't listen to those audiobooks. As a listener, I turn them off after 5 minutes because I can't stand that way of speaking. So why would I want to suddenly adopt it just because
Why?
I think
Yeah,
other people like it?
you're going to get employed for being you.
Yeah.
Who do we know who can do this? Daniela Acitelli. Okay. Oh, she's doing this other thing. Well, I didn't want her to do that. I got it because she does this. I do what I do, and it probably loses me work. There are things going on in the industry that I think suit me and suit a lot of people. I'm hearing things speed up a bit. I think the whole speak the fuck slower is becoming a little bit less of a mantra and more, yeah, generally I would say so. But now actually there's a lot of multicast books out there that are becoming far more like plays where people speak in a much more natural way.
Yeah.
And I think that is filtering in. You can see it in the writing. You can tell this needs to not be quite so measured. And then all you hear is people saying, "Oh, I love that book. I played it at 1.5 speed, or I played it." You're like, but isn't that the listeners saying? I don't necessarily, I watch the news and they speak at this speed. They speak like we are speaking to each other, and everybody manages to hear everything and understand everything.
But I don't mind if you speed my book up like 7 times the speed. That's fine. This is my gift to
Do what you like.
Listen to it
You've
any
paid
way
it.
you like. I already got
Yeah,
paid.
exactly.
But if I made the publisher or the writer happy, I'm happy. I'm happy. I've done my job.
Of course, the publisher, they're employing you, but it's the author.
Yeah.
We're just there to serve them, aren't we? That's all we're there for.
Yeah.
We've got to remember we're not that important.
But the publisher has to listen to it too, and I want them to enjoy it. My goal is to have the proof. I want the proofer to have a good time. I do. It's like a kind of a point of, I want them to enjoy it. I imagine the proofer having to listen to a zillion books word by word, and I want to make sure that this book they're going to enjoy.
Well, the proof is the one that will get you the Audi. Because it'll be the proofer telling the publisher, this is a good one. My first Audi nomination was exactly that. The proofer told the publisher they thought they should listen to it, and they don't listen to everything. How could they?
Yeah.
There's no how. They certainly don't read them all, because if they did, we wouldn't be recording them. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Okay. We have got to cut off. I've broken my word of I always end on the hour. Yeah, Daniela. But look at this guest. He's so good. I'm going to try to stalk you and ask you to come back again. I'm going to send you the link, and please come back again sometime, Matthew.
I'd love to. I don't feel like I've said anything of interest whatsoever.
No, this has been fascinating. And we still have lots of good stuff to ask. So I'm going to catch up with you again.
That would be really lovely.
I'm going to send you the chat, you guys, so he'll see the chat from the call, and in 2 weeks we'll have this up. Oh, last question. You do coaching as well, one-on-one coaching, don't you?
I will be I kind of put it on hold sometimes. It's on hold at the moment because pre-APAC and then get through 21 targets the next time. But then in the summer, yeah, I will be.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because people will be watching this in like 60 years. So is the information on your website for people that are watching this video?
Yeah. You can get me on my website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm in all the normal places. I don't like Twitter much, and I'm thinking about leaving because of the new owner. But you can find me very easily. I mean, I'm quite happy to give. You can put my email address here if you want. Yeah.
It'll be in the about section. So guys, for people that are watching the YouTube video and everything's passed and the 21 days is over and all that, look at the about section and you'll see Matthew's website in case you are interested in coaching. So thank you so much. It's been fabulous, and thank you guys for being
honor.
such a wonderful. Thank you. And thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks that's such an honor.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.